On this week's episode, we are revisiting representation in the media.
Not just vision impairments, we're going to talk about all kinds of disabilities in the media and give you our thoughts.
So stick around.
Hello and welcome to Rare with Flair,
the podcast where two best friends with the same rare disease are out here living our best lives. I'm your host, Casey.
And I'm your host, Cassandra. Guys, I think we have fully recovered from ATS.
Finally, it's been a few weeks now, so I would hope so. But it took a minute. It
did take a hot sec, truly.
Yeah.
But a few weeks, really? It's been 2 weeks? 1 week? What is the time?
Today's Wednesday, and I think we got back 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday.
2 weeks ago. Wow. Crazy.
Wow. That is
nuts.
Crazy. We hope you all liked our slightly unhinged ATS episode, though, because at least we enjoyed it. I don't know if anybody else
We
did.
thought it was so funny. We were like, if this was
hilarious.
1 degree more chaotic, this would not be usable content. But it was. So if that isn't enough to entice you to go listen to that episode if you haven't already, I don't know what is.
Don't know what is, but we've been doing pretty good since we've been back. Been kind of busy, had to sleep for a few days after we got back. Any life updates from you that you want to share?
I feel like a lot and then also not a lot.
I know, I'm the same exact way.
Guys, okay, I love the gym. So just today I decided to start working with like a personal trainer. And I know, like, that's, like, very much a financial decision. I've been going to the gym for a while. And you know what, guys? It was I felt very grateful that I made the choice because truly, I felt incredibly vision impaired. Like, it wasn't until...
It all comes back to the rare, doesn't it?
It really all comes back to the rare. It's so funny because it's just... The revelations continued to happen throughout my very first training session. It's like, okay, we did this episode last year about, like in the fall, I think, about how sometimes we're a little delulu, having like some vision but not great vision.
Yes.
And this was one of those moments where it was truly thrown in my face. Like the trainer would be like showing me something to do and I'm like, okay, he's moving his arms, so I'll move my arms too. And then he would like continue to correct me. He's like, actually, why don't you try and move your shoulder blades? And I was like, oh my gosh, that is completely different. And I had no idea. I had no way of knowing that that's what was happening. But oh my gosh, it was literally like an accessibility intervention for exercise. But it's great because, with bad vision, our balance is kind of bad, so I'm trying to work on my balance. It was extremely helpful, but I felt super blind. I wonder if he'll charge me more money because he has to say so many words.
Hopefully not. But yeah, looking at subtle movements like that and trying to see like what part of the body is moving. Is it the shoulder? Is it the arm? That is like, it's complicated.
It's like impossible. Like,
it's complicated.
Truly.
It truly is. But yeah, no, I feel the same way. I've been like busy, but like not busy in the sense that I have a lot to update anyone on, like I can't really think of anything to share, but things have been rolling along. Trucking along.
It's summer-ish.
It is, and it's finally hot.
I know, which I was walking to the gym and I was whining a lot because it was really hot, and I like called my mom to exclusively whine about how hot it was.
Yes, it is.
So, it's fine. I miss jackets.
Soon, my friend. Soon.
It's okay.
Soon.
I can last the summer.
I'm excited about this.
Going on vacation.
Oh, I am going on vacation this weekend.
Yay!
And while you're listening to this, I'm there. So it's very exciting.
So exciting.
Very exciting.
Do you want to Do you want to tell the people where you're going, or
I'm
is it
going
a
on a Disney cruise.
Yay!
I've never been on one. I've been on a cruise, but not a Disney one. So it should be very fun. I'm very excited.
I'm also really excited to hear your thoughts and how accessibility is on the seas.
I know. I'm apparently supposed to get a enlarged menu and a few other things. So we'll see if that actually happens.
Enlarged menu. That's
well,
wow.
It's
Don't threaten me with a good time.
When you request assistance, well, I know you don't always request assistance at the airport, but like
I'm doing it more. I'm doing it more now.
Well,
I like my time.
When you request assistance at the airport and you put it on the form you're filling out and then they have no idea you did it. I'm wondering if that's going to be the Disney cruise where like I requested these things and then you're going to get there and but honestly, I would be super impressed if I sit down at dinner and they just hand me like a large print menu.
I will say, I think I'm not I've taken some cruises in my life and I don't know that I will again just because I'm not really like a cruise person. I'd rather like be at a place long because like when you're on a cruise, the vacation is the cruise, which is great.
Right.
But anywho, it's just like a different style of travel. Cruises, one of the things I will say is that they are incredibly accommodating. Like,
that's good, yeah. And Disney in general typically is, unless you heard our Disneyland episode, but that's beside the point.
That's different. But like they literally like they'll bend over backwards if it'll make you happy. I tried a dinner once. The last cruise I went on was a Disney cruise, and it was like 9 years ago. And I tried something, and I didn't really like it, but it was okay, because you eat so dang much on a cruise anyway. Course. I was like, that's fine. But they noticed I hadn't eaten it, and they're like, oh, can we bring you something else? Like, they really wanted to bring me a meal that I wanted. So I would maybe hope for the best, and I think they might be there to help.
Okay. Well, I'm down, and I'm excited, so.
Yay! Yeah. I can't wait to hear all about it.
And I'm excited to get into this app as well. If any of you are OG listeners, old-timer fans, we have done a disability representation in media episode. One of my favorite titles, by the way, Feeling Seen by a Whale Shark. Disability representation. It's been many years, and throughout those many years, more movies have come out.
4 years.
Yeah, truly. It's been like 4 years. And more movies have come out. Not only that, but we've seen more. And we kind of, if you missed that one, I really do go recommend listening to it because we mentioned a lot of like key characters like Toph on Avatar The Last Airbender or, just like these really big, I think we talked mostly about blind characters on that, on that episode. But today we were going to kind of open it up a little more to just like disability in general in the media and kind of update you on some thoughts and feelings we've had.
And of course, like slight disclaimer, a lot of the characters that we're going to be talking about and medias, they're not necessarily communities that we are a part of. So take everything we say with a grain of salt, of course. But as fellow disabilitarians, a word that one of my friends with disabilities came up with, we still have a little bit of say.
Yeah, we can't really necessarily say if it's accurate if we don't have that disability, but it's a win for all disabled people when there is disability representation and when it seems like it's done well. And some of these we might not think are done well. We're just going to mention them anyway and let you know they exist. I mean, not all of them are A++ representation, but we're just letting you know they're there.
Ooh, actually, speaking of A++, we didn't plan this before. Do you want to like rate them subjectively?
Let's do it.
I like it. Okay.
A, B, C, D, F.
Yes.
Okay. Just to keep it simple.
Well, you said, E. A, B, C. Did you say E?
We don't.
A, B, C,
no,
D,
I
F.
didn't say Yeah, like school grade. You don't get an E
in
school.
Yeah. For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Super. Okay. Our first character comes from a show that we watched together and we mentioned in our last little cartoon adventures episode we did. Is Finn the human from Adventure Time.
And this is a slight spoiler, but this show is very old and it really doesn't I don't think it's such a spoiler that it would ruin your experience watching it. So just letting you know, if you're very sensitive to spoilers, letting you know. Yeah, so Finn starts off able-bodied in the series, and he loses an arm.
Yeah. Like, I think it's from the elbow down.
Yes, and Cass and I were pretty stoked.
Yes.
It sounds kind of funny to say we were stoked about a character losing.
I'm so glad he got injured.
But we were like, oh my gosh, the lead character of this show is now disabled. Like, we thought that was cool. Like, you don't see that often. You don't see that often.
And this show is like, it's kind of an acid trip. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's very non-sequential in a lot of ways. They'll have like an arc of several episodes that has to do with a specific plot, but a lot of the show doesn't have a big plot. And the fact that they kept him without an arm for quite a while.
Yes. There was a point in which the arm grew back, and we were very sad, and
we were really disappointed.
I was mainly just disappointed. Like, I know that might sound weird to some of you. Like, why would you be disappointed that he's healed or whatever? It's not really about being healed or not. For me, it was more like, it's more, you know, most disabled people don't really get healed. Like, that's just not part of our life. And so seeing him disabled, it would have been cool if it was more realistic that was how he stayed. But the fact that he got healed just felt kind of not realistic to me. Not saying I'm like totally against cures for anyone and everyone. Not saying that. I think it's a complicated thing, but it didn't feel realistic. And then he was no longer like disabled representation for us.
But I will say even though the show is very non-sequential, they kept it for a while. It was kind of a big plot point sometimes because there was a point where he like tried this, you know, it's a very magical, surrealist world that they live in, and so he did this like magical quest to try and gain it back, and really all that grew out of his arm was like a little flower, and
which was cute,
and it was cute, and there was like a lot of, eventually he has like a grass sword that comes out of his arm stump, and so like he tries a prosthesis, I think, at one point, so like there was a lot related to it, and they kept it for a while, for longer than I expected. I thought they were going to resolve that immediately. Can't possibly have a disabled character.
Yeah, right. And he did grow to kind of accept it, so I never really knew why they needed to, like, I felt like them bringing it back felt forced, because I was like, it was fine. It could have ended like this, and he
was kind of okay about it.
He was doing fine. He was, like, still living his life and going on at quests and adventures, and so I didn't really see, that's another reason it bugged me, because I didn't see the point. Like, you just wanted to, like, have a tearjerker moment, like, oh my god, his arm. Whatever, like, why? He was doing fine. And that's part of the risk that he was taking of living such a daring life, that he might lose an arm, so it felt more realistic that it, you know, but I agree with you. I liked aspects of it. What would you rate it?
I would rate it a B, because I liked it. I think it was, you know, they even explored some of the emotions behind it without beating it over the head, because that would have felt really weird for the show.
Yeah.
But I was disappointed that they didn't just keep it.
Yeah, my initial thought was C+. I think I would rate it higher if they had kept it, because I liked aspects of it, like you said. Our next character we were going to talk about is also from a show we watched together. Well, no, we actually haven't watched this together. We've both separately watched it
together, but we watched it at the same time.
At the same time. So it feels like in a way that we watched it together, kind of. And that is Amaya on The Dragon Prince.
So Amaya is canonically deaf. She is deaf the entire show. She is the aunt of the two main characters who are, I think are they half-brothers?
Yes.
Or are they stepbrothers?
Half. They have the same mom, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So brothers that on one side of their family, their aunt is deaf, and it's cool because she signs, and she has an interpreter who follows her around, and he's just very much like a part of her life. And when people talk to her, they talk to her, even though like her interpreter is speaking. And there were a lot of aspects of that I thought were really cool and great. And so it's actually, I think, also interesting because this character is also a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so funny because her deafness nor her like sexual orientation was ever a big deal. It was more of a big deal that she was a human and she was like marrying someone who was a magical person, and that was a big deal in the world.
Yeah.
So I just kind of
Yeah, I totally felt that. Like, they never made a big deal of either of those things. It was just like how she was. And I really liked her interpreter because it like, so they had realistic signing. Like, she would sign on the show, and her interpreter, though, like, spoke what she was saying as she was signing for the other characters, but it also helped us as the viewer to hear.
So I think there were some things about it that drove me a little crazy because when I was super excited to see the character, but also as the season progressed and as she's with like her wife later on, like there were scenes where like, you know, her wife was talking to Amaya, the deaf woman we're talking about, and the interpreter isn't there. Obviously they're sharing maybe like a tender or private moment, but her wife like never learns to sign.
Oh yeah.
And
see, I haven't
she's
seen
just
the final
always
season,
talking.
but yeah, I remember some of this. Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, reading lips is not easy, and it's not, like, very accurate. And it's, you know, I would have been really excited if her wife actually, like, learned to sign.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like she's not trying to speak her language.
Yeah.
And they just assume that, like, Amaya understands. And I'm like, that's not realistic.
Yeah, and I don't see what was keeping them. I mean, it was a cartoon, for heaven's sake. It's not even like the actor had to learn how to sign.
Literally.
I don't see what was keeping them from making her sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is actually a pretty good bone to pick with it. I would also like to mention that this show, The Dragon Prince, is created by the same creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which we often talk about Toph, which is there is a blind character on Avatar, and so they are really keeping up the disability rep by having Toph and then Amaya in their new series. So good for them. I don't know much about...
We love to see it.
I don't know much about those creators, but good for them. And Amaya is a really strong, independent, capable character. And people respect her, which I like.
Oh, yeah. She's like a general.
She's not treated disabled or inferior in any way. Like, she's very feared and respected, and so that's cool to see, you know.
Yeah. It was exciting to see. I think there are a lot of inconsistencies with how they handle her disability.
Yeah.
But it's never made like a huge deal, like you said. So I don't know. What would you rate Amaya?
A B.
Yeah, I would probably say the same.
I just really like the character too, though. Like, maybe that's like, you know, making my views different. Because I agree with you. I would almost need to watch the series again to like really judge it. But yeah, I think overall they tried to do the best they could with it, and there could have been some better things. And obviously we aren't deaf, so I feel like people in that community could speak better to what they thought of it. But that's just what we thought of it. So what would you rate it? You said yeah, the same.
I think probably similar. B, just because the inconsistencies I think make it feel a little unrealistic.
Yeah.
For people who maybe haven't been, you know, again, I'm not super involved in the deaf community or anything, like we had said earlier. Like, it's hard to really give a firm opinion, but
Right.
but you know, it feels inconsistent, so they maybe could have handled it a little more consistently.
Yeah, agreed.
Our next character is from another of the shows that we have seen together. It was the one we just finished, so it's not in a cartoon episode yet.
Oh.
It will be when we talk about our next 5 cartoons that we watch together at some point in the future. I don't know when that's going to be.
Also, I've got to pop in and say, not all of these are cartoons, just the first few. Cartoons have good disabled representation. What can we say? Like,
I know.
I think they're killing the game more than live action, but that's beside the point. Anyway.
Literally. So, this is great. So, we just finished watching She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which we have already seen before. And then we finally watched it, like, together for our, like, little cartoon venture. And
had a lovely time.
Fantastic. Great show. One of the characters on the show is named Entrapta. She is a princess. She is very skilled at technology, math, digital stuff. She kind of earns the nickname Geek Princess. And it's very clear, it's never fully stated outright, but it's very clear that she's intended to represent someone with autism. Yay!
And
autistic character.
Didn't you read that the creators did, in fact, confirm that?
I think I did.
That she's canonically
autistic.
I
actually Googled. I forgot I Googled that, but yeah, you're right. So
yeah, it's very clear, just if you know, like, any of the traits of autism, that's what they were going for with Entrapta. But I think, and like Cass said, it's never mentioned, which I kind of like. Like, they're not like, hey, this character has autism. You need to know this. Like,
or like you hear the characters whispering, you know, it's just there. That's who she is.
It's just there, and it's how she is. And if you pick up on it, you pick up on it. If not, you don't. But it was meant to, she is meant to be autistic, yes.
I love Entrapta.
Entrapta is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic.
She's a very layered character. I love what they did with her.
She is a delight.
She's a delight. She's chaotic, especially when it comes to her special interest of technology and finding out how the magic of the world that they live in works. So like she will like go over mountains to find things that, you know, fuel her passions. But she tends to struggle interpersonally. Obviously not all autistic people do. It's a spectrum, but you can tell that she's empathetic, but she doesn't always know, like, just how to express it, and the other characters interpret this as, like, that she doesn't care about them, which isn't the truth.
Right. She comes off as pretty blunt sometimes, but she has a heart of gold. She just doesn't know how to show it, and, like, Cass and I aren't on the spectrum, so we can't exactly say if this is super accurate, but from the people in my life that I know who have autism, it does seem accurate to me. I think, like, she's really a layered character, and she does have a heart of gold. Like, she is brilliant and smart and helpful, and, like, I said to Cass once when we were watching it, I was like, I would trust Entrapta with my life. Like, literally with my life.
Oh,
like,
my gosh,
I would want her on my team to be fighting evil or whatever, because she's just, and she's very, like, morally good, you know, or she at least tries to be, you know. And I mean,
she tries to be, but she also goes with the people that value her in the moment the most, right? There is a big portion of the series where she switches sides, really, in the war that's going on, because, like, there was a situation, they thought she died, and, you know, the good side thought she died, the bad side had just kind of kept her, she was hiding. And then no one knew what happened to her, and she worked with the enemy, because it was fueling her passion,
right? And she's a little naive as well, so she wasn't doing it out of, like, a terrible place.
She's just, like, doing what made her happy, but it ended up kind of tipping, you know, the balance in the war that they were fighting.
Right. So, yeah, she didn't always make the best choices, but I think she tries to, and that's something. Like, she's trying to do the right thing.
She really connects with, and one of the best relationships on the show is she really connects with the initial villain character, and they're, like, cute lab partner buds. Like, it's adorable.
She is, like, the one person that can soften his cold heart, and it's really sweet.
Like, he's been like hurt and abused in life, and she's just so like blunt, blah blah, vibing in her life.
Yeah.
But she like helps him, and
yeah.
and he
Yeah.
appreciates her, and it's really
because
sweet.
she comes at her relationships in a non-judgmental way, and some people might call that naive, but she also just is kind of like, yeah, I'll be friends with anybody, and he's here, and I'll be nice to him, and give
we have
him
things in
respect like
common.
everybody
We both
else.
like technology.
Right. So there's so many good characters on that series. I don't even know if she would be like my very favorite just because there are so many good ones, but she's definitely
There's so many fantastic characters.
it's
on
worth
that show.
watching even just for her. And if I haven't spoiled it already, I would say I would give her an A+.
I would give her an A.
Yeah.
An A+ as well. Like, she's fantastic, and I have no
there's
notes
nothing I
for
would
Entrapta.
change about there's nothing I would change about her. So
I agree. She's
Yeah.
great.
our next character is from a show we have not actually seen, but I have read the book a million years ago, so this is gonna be great to talk
Okay,
about.
but I will abstain from rating because I have also not seen it.
Yeah. We don't need to rate it necessarily, but we did want to mention that this exists. All the Light We Cannot See. It is a historical fiction book, World War II, and it was a mini-series on Netflix. And the reason we wanted to mention it, especially on this podcast, is because it does feature a blind character, and they did really cast a real legally blind woman. And I believe there's like two versions, like an older and a younger version, and they're both legally blind, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, how cool is that?
I could be wrong, but at least one of them.
I think so. I think it works in some flashbacks.
Yeah, I think so, and I think they were both cast
Yeah.
accurately. So I've heard a lot of people say good things about it. I think a lot of people in our community were pretty happy with the casting, and I remember the book being good. The book is not really as much about her blindness as it is about the rest of the story, and I don't remember much. It's probably been literally 10 years. And I don't even remember books I read last week, so this is not something I can even rank. But I've heard good things. I would like to watch it, and it's always just cool to hear about a blind character.
And a blind actor, for that matter, since it's
Yes.
not an animated show. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's not animated. Shocker. And that's why we haven't seen it.
Yeah, right? Clearly.
The one we haven't seen is not animated. We have issues.
Some fascinating fun facts is that so Aria Mia Liberty is the actress who is blind. Well, was blind. So she had a guide dog from GDB. I actually knew someone who was in her GDB guide dog class, which is nuts. But apparently, so, I was following her on Instagram, and apparently her vision impairment has somehow been corrected. Mm-hmm. So she's not blind anymore.
Right. And when she played the role, she was.
She was.
But we were, taken aback by that a little. We were like, oh.
I didn't know that was something that could happen. And she, made a statement about it.
Sorry, I'm laughing 'cause it's the same.
Page, and she had said that it feels kind of out of pocket because I believe it, but I'm just like, wow, really? I didn't know that could happen. But,
right, because, yeah.
So, she made a statement, and she was saying how, she still feels connected to the community, but she's, not gonna... She has a lifetime of experience, but I don't know that she was gonna, continue pursuing blind or visually impaired roles anymore. So obviously, it's her journey and her story is pretty fascinating, and it's a thin line to travel. I think her guide dog is now retired.
Yeah. And it's just kind of crazy because
doesn't need him anymore.
The very definition of being visually impaired or blind is that it's not correctable. This is not something. I'm just saying this for people who are listening who might be like, oh, so y'all can be cured. Because people tell me that all the time. They're like, oh, you can be cured, maybe. And I'm like, I just want to let everyone know this is not normal. I don't know her full story. I don't know what happened. I can't speak on that. But, this is not, like I said, the very definition of being visually impaired or blind is that it is not correctable. So don't get it in your head that, you know, oh, well, tomorrow, maybe, like, you know, I'm not saying don't have any hope, but it's just like, that is not normal.
Yeah. And we've talked about how, you know, we probably wouldn't, at this point in our lives, like, we're, you know, pretty deep into adulthood at this point, that we probably wouldn't change it if the option came up, because this is just how we, you know, this is just how we operate anymore. But it's just kind of wild seeing videos of her. She was baking sourdough, and she could, like, pour something from such a normal distance that I could not do. That I'm like, wow, yeah, look at that. Like, her eyes really do be working. Okay.
They be working. We can't rank this character, but we're happy to see it, and I've heard mostly good things from people.
It's
so
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, the next one, I feel like you could probably speak more to this, is we're going to talk about Wicked, guys.
Oh my gosh.
If you have ever seen the Wicked Part 1 that came out last year, which was phenomenal. Casey has seen it, 6 times?
Something like that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's great. It's really phenomenal, and based off of course, the stage show of the same name. Elphaba's younger sister in both the production and the movie is a wheelchair user. Her name is Nessa Rose, and in Wicked, they, like, really for real cast a wheelchair user. Yay.
Yes. For both the current day Nessa, and there are flashbacks of young Nessa when she's, like, basically a toddler, I would say, you know, maybe 5, I don't know, or young, a little older maybe than a toddler, but yeah, she's adorable. And she's also, you know, she's also a real wheelchair user, the younger one that they cast, which is very cute, and they're both gorgeous gals. And I, you know, think they did a great job. I'm very interested to see Wicked Part 2, because Nessa has even a much bigger role in that. And I won't spoil it for anybody, but she does sing a song with some questionable lyrics in it. And I've heard that they've changed some of them, possibly. This is not a spoiler.
I'm very interested.
So she says, you know, she'll say things like, to Elphaba, she's saying, all of my life I've depended on you. How do you think that feels? All of my life I've depended on you in this hideous chair with wheels, scrounging for scraps of pity to pick up and longing to kick up my heels. Which, that whole thing is very, if I were a wheelchair user, I'd feel a little weird listening to that. Like, it's very devastating. And, like, that can be somebody's real experience, right? Like, some people are disabled and they're very upset about it, and that can be her real experience. But I'm hoping maybe they slightly change those lyrics a little.
Yeah.
Like this hideous chair with wheels. I don't know. It's a little much, maybe. We can maybe make it a little more.
It can, without it, like, you don't have independence. So, you know, I don't know. Like,
Yeah. Without the chair, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe it's not hideous. Maybe it's helpful.
Maybe it's a helpful chair with wheels.
This amazing chair with wheels. And I don't know. Some people might disagree with me on that and be like, they shouldn't change it. And I get it that the character is a bitter character and she doesn't go in a great direction in her life. I get it. And that's okay. Like, I'm not saying disability has to be flowers and rainbows.
Yeah, you can have a character with a disability be a villain. Like, that's totally
absolutely
allowed.
I'm not against that. I think her story is awesome. But yeah, I'm just saying I'm interested to see what they do with that scene and her character, because I do think the representation in the first film was a step in the right direction and it was good. And we did want to also mention, in Wicked, there are a few different actors with albinism in Wicked that are just extra, you know, I don't want to call them background. What would you call that? Like,
ensemble
actors. And there are 2 of them, and one of them, Carmen Yule, came to talk to us at NOAA about her experience, and some of that is on YouTube if you go to the NOAA YouTube channel. And she shared...
Carmen or Cameron?
Cameron. Did I say Carmen?
Yeah, I think you did.
Whoops, Cameron. It's spelled in a way that kind of looks like it could be either, so I have to like actually focus. Right? So anyway, but yeah, she's awesome, and I think that was even great representation. I was screaming, I was hollering, I was cheering.
I don't know how you saw her because I sure didn't.
Because I was on the third row in IMAX.
Okay, sure, yeah. I'm just like trying to think. I'm like, wow, and my mom was also looking in the scene where they're at Shiz, because that's where they are. That's where you'll see Cameron. But like, my mom was like, I didn't see any actors with albinism. She's like, are you sure Casey saw what she thinks she saw? But she did. Casey did see what she thinks she saw. I was really, really scouting. It's amazing. How would you rate... so part of Nessa's performance is not completed because there's no Wicked Part 2 yet. True. It'll come out next year. But I also think, I mean, as a note, obviously, like, it's really cool to see, Nessa being included in these dance numbers. Like, she's also dancing in her wheelchair, and I'm, like, always excited to see that.
Yeah, yeah. I would rank it a B+. I don't know. Like, I think Nessa is not always the easiest character to love just because she's a flawed character. So I don't know if part of my lower ranking is just like her character. But like, I thought it was well done, and there's not really anything that I think they should have changed. I think it's cool that the actress, got to do stunts in her chair, and she really was doing those stunts. So cool. They didn't get a stunt double. So I mean, B+, A. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. She's hard to love because she really is like playing into the pity role, but that's how she was written. Right. And whereas Elphaba's pretty brazen about her difference, which is kind of a disability in her world, right? She's green.
Right.
And it's very clear that she's different from everyone else. Like, Nessa has a disability, and she kind of plays it the entire opposite way of, like, please feel sorry for me and do things for me instead. And it's just really interesting to see that dichotomy since they're sisters.
It is. It is. And, like, I still think Elphaba is slightly, like, disabled coded, or at least just, like, minority group coded in whichever way you want to look at it. Like, outcast coded. So. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. But, yeah, it's very neat. Very neat.
Yeah. What would you rank it? Or did you say it a letter?
I think B+ feels right for me. Okay. Yeah.
Fair. Yep. The next one is a book and movie. I'll mention the book, and Cass has seen the movie. I haven't. But we recently read a book for our Noah book club, and I had read it prior, actually, as well. But Cass and I have both read it now at this point, called True Biz by, is it Sarah Novick?
Oh, my gosh. Novich.
Yeah, Sarah Novich. True Biz, it is a fictional book about a deaf school. It follows 3 characters. It's fantastic, in my opinion. Once again, I'm not deaf.
Good.
It is probably like the best deaf representation I've ever seen because I learned so much. So much about the deaf community. And it's like, you don't often learn that much in a fictional book. I mean, you learn a lot. You learn empathy and you learn other things from fictional books, but I almost felt like it was also nonfiction. It was fictional, but it was almost also nonfiction because it took minutes to teach you about the community, and so it was really cool. I highly recommend that book.
It's amazing. The 3 characters are also different types of deaf people, like different personas, if you will. The head of the school, she's a CODA, which means child of deaf adults, right? So she's hearing, but she knows how to sign because she grew up with deaf parents. One of the other main characters is a girl who basically grew up in the hearing world. She had a cochlear implants, and they didn't really work that well. And so then she transfers to this deaf school, and has to learn to sign and not to like speak and read lips, and it's like that whole and she's a teen, so even just like navigating like teenage things, it's like,
and she's kind of an outcast. Like, people look down on her that she was raised in the hearing world, like, because that's not how a lot of them were.
And it's fascinating because they talk a lot about language deprivation, which working in the accessibility field, I've heard about it, and how if deaf children are not taught to sign and aren't able to communicate, because like sign language, ASL, or wherever part of the world you're in, British Sign Language, you know, Filipino Sign Language, like it's all different, and it's all its own language.
Yeah.
And I think this book does a really good job of expressing that, and you kind of learn a little bit as this character learns.
Yeah.
And then the last guy is a guy who was born deaf, from deaf parents, basically grew up in the deaf community, and is just like he's kind of like Mr. Popular.
Yeah. Because, like, I think it was multi-generational of deaf people in his family. And so he, like,
and
that's
so there was,
world.
like, some superiority there, yeah.
Yes, he has that superiority of, like, yeah, like, I'm in this culture, and this is, you know, part of me. And so it was so, just talking about it, I'm like, it was so good.
It was such a good, but I literally read it in, like, maybe 24 hours.
Yeah, I read it quickly, too. And it's easy to quickly read it, yeah.
The audiobook is fantastic, too, because apparently in the printed book, they have signs in the book. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that works because I didn't read it. Because
I've seen it. I've flipped through it, and it's like it's like drawings of people's hands doing the signs. But
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I've never read it physically either, but I've seen it at bookstores, and I've kind of flipped through it, and I've seen that.
That's so cool, because in the audio, they made a note about that, and they said how that was happening in the printed book, but that you could, in order to match the integrity of that for the audio version, you could hear hand movements and, like, occasional, like, you know, noises of, like, clapping or movement so that you could hear the signs, if you will. Yeah, and I read it on audio, too, so I know what you're talking about, and yeah, that was cool. It was really neat. Mm-hmm. Or even occasional, like, puffs of air.
Right, because, that's part of it, is, like, you also can make vocal noises, too, while you're signing, and that's kind of, or, like, mouth movements, It's a really cool book, and they have pieces in between that talk about all kinds of things, so, like, one of the main girls has, like, some little anarchist friends, so they take some pages out of, like, the anarchist cookbook, but then they take pages out of, like, learning to sign, or they talk about cultural signing differences with Black people, and how there's, like, variations and dialects within, you know, American Sign Language. It's really wild. Yeah. It really makes you think and teaches you a lot. Oh, yeah. That's so cool. So I also watched the movie Coda, which I think won some awards. And, you know, it's hard to judge because I'm not in the community. And the main girl is a child of deaf adults, and she loves music, and she's a really, really gifted singer, and doesn't really know that until, you know, the movie kind of starts. And her family's like, why do you care? Like, we can't enjoy it. So her parents and older brother are all deaf, and she's hearing. But, you know, she does end up trying to pursue her dreams, and her family does end up being supportive and shows up to her audition, and it was really sweet. But I've heard mixed things from the deaf community. So I have some family friends who grew up with a dad that's deaf, and they were involved in the deaf community, and I heard mixed reviews, so I feel like I don't really have license to speak on it, but I really liked the audio description, is what I can say. Okay, we love to see it. It was really well done,
And there were subtitles, but obviously, like, those are hard to read. So the AD was great. I enjoyed it a lot. And I thought it was an interesting concept because I think it won an Oscar or something.
I think it did, yeah.
Because,
something like that, yeah. It was nominated.
Right? I know. I don't... yeah, right. Something like that. And it's really cool because, like, having, you know, disability really be part of the story is exciting in any form. And I don't know if it was, like, damaging to the community or not. But, you know, I think it was still cool enough that maybe more people decided they wanted to learn sign. I don't know. So I maybe I'll give it a C out of caution. C for caution.
C for caution. Did we rank True Biz? Because I would rank True Biz.
We didn't. I would an A+.
A+. Yeah, me too.
I love that book. It's amazing. It was a 5-star Goodreads read.
It's great.
Most books are like 4 stars for me, but you know, that was great.
It was great. Our next one is a little short film that we have talked about before in our NOAA conference recap episode last year. And it is a short independent film called Jasmine is a Star. And I so recommend watching this, especially if you're in the albinism community. It follows a young girl with albinism who is trying to be a model and just shows so many really realistic hardships and things that people with albinism go through. Obviously, she's played by a real girl with albinism, and we got to meet her, and that was cool. And what else would you like to add?
It's neat. I think so. She's Black, and I think that's also, you know, it's a big part of identity too. Yeah. And so it was cute. There was this really adorable speech that her mom gave her, and her parents are supportive, although cautious of her wanting to become a model, right? Because they're just worried about their kid, and it's less about her vision and more just because, like, modeling is a difficult career. And it's like 40 minutes. But it's really well done. I like the way they handle it, and there was even, like, they had a fight about her being able to drive. Like, she borrowed her mom's credit card to take a lift, and, like, they, like, got into a fight. It was, I don't know, it was cool, and, you know, the
modeling agency cast her as an alien, which has happened, you know, which happens to people with albinism. Yeah. There were so many. It was like
the Katy Perry E.T. video debacle.
People were questioning if her dad, like, was her dad, and other things like that, and just a lot of real things that people with albinism go through on a daily basis. Even, like, her vision teacher, like, embarrasses her, like, comes in the room and is, like, trying to sit next to her in the classroom, and they're like,
and she's just trying to be like a normie teen, but it's hard to do that. And she does end up talking, like, she meets and talks to another guy with albinism who's like a college student, I think. And it was, you know, you could tell that she felt like a lot of kinship and community with him, even though, like, they didn't talk a lot. But, like, it was important, and he was also Black, so it was also really just important for her to see, like, hey, maybe I can do what I want to be able to do. And it was cool. It had a really cute ending. I don't want to spoil it because I think it's cute.
It was really good. I would definitely have to give it either an A or an A+. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I would at least give it a solid A.
Solid A. Yeah, solid A.
It was good. I really liked it. And I think, I was just Googling it. I think you can maybe rent it, perhaps, on either Amazon or I think it's on the Roku channel.
You can. I did it for my parents to watch it. Now I can't remember how, but it was something like that. So just Google it. Jasmine is a Star if you'd like to watch. It's really good.
Really good. The last thing I wanted to talk about is not really like a piece of media, like a movie or a show, but it is media in a way. And it's that Mattel made a blind Barbie last year.
Yeah. And it was so exciting. We wanted to mention it because it's still within the representation realm of things, of young people and older people seeing themselves represented. We didn't have a blind Barbie growing up. I would have loved it as a little girl.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
I would have loved that.
Like, that would have been amazing.
And it's just like when you're a little girl, or at least speaking for myself when I was a little girl, like Barbie to me is like an adult. Like she's like has jobs and she's doing things and she's a doctor and she's a whatever. And so you're looking at what your life...
She's veterinarian.
Right. She's everything, right? She's an astronaut. You're looking at what
she can be anything.
Like when you're playing Barbie, you're playing what your life could be as an adult, or you're looking at what your life could be. You have your own house or you have whatever. And so to play with a blind Barbie would have been showing me like what it would be like to be a blind adult, essentially.
Yeah. I like that takeaway.
Yeah.
I think Mattel did a lot of really conscious things about it. So they're really trying to do representation well, because I saw that they had made an Indian Barbie in some traditional Indian dress that apparently was righting some of the wrongs of previous Indian Barbies. And I saw a lot of very positive comments of people in that community saying like, this is very accurate. Like, so for the blind Barbie, they did a few things that I was really excited about. She has a cane.
Yeah.
Her eyes are not the same as a regular Barbie. They're kind of different. They don't look cloudy or anything, but they're fixed in a slightly different stare than the regular Barbies, almost so that it looks like her eyes are pointing more up and out instead of like straight forward. And there were a lot of people making comments about that. It's like, what's with her eyes? Because it looked different than a regular Barbie. But I was kind of excited because they didn't look so different.
Yeah.
And, you know,
that's a comment we've heard.
We
what's
hear
with
that
her eyes
all the time. It's like, what's with your eyes? Because they shake, or like, I'm not very good at eye contact because I'm always like moving my eyes and closing them because of the light.
Yeah.
And having a Barbie that should just look slightly different, but not, I don't know, not that different after all.
But she's also a fashionista.
Yes, she's so cute. She's got this like little mini skirt. She's wearing heels.
Yeah, she actually has a cute outfit on.
I love
which
heels.
Is important. And you know, as two girlies who love fashion, like we want to see that. We want to see
that's so cool.
Someone blind who like has a good appearance, because that's often the misconception is that blind people don't care about their appearance, you know.
Right. And I think that wasn't there Braille on the box?
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty positive there was.
Yeah.
I have.
She was designed in partnership with the AFB, the American Foundation for the Blind. So like they really did their homework, they did their research, and I think they did a good job.
Do you have her? I have her.
I have her too.
Okay, yeah, of course. She's just great. I bought her like the day she. the day she dropped.
No, same. And it was like $16, the price of a regular Barbie. So I was like, oh,
and I think it's even dropped now. I think she's like under $10 now if you look, because I was telling someone about her the other day. Yeah, I think the price has dropped. So pick yourself up a blind Barbie. Not expensive. And also, speaking of Barbie, I wanted to mention, the Barbie movie that came out a few years back, which I can't believe it's been almost 2 years since that came out, because it was
my gosh, that's nuts.
There is a not blind. Wow. No, there's not a blind Barbie in that movie.
I know, right?
There is a wheelchair user Barbie in that movie. And what I like the most about it is she's like really cutting it up on the dance floor in the Dance the Night Away scene at Barbie's dream house. And like, yeah, you can like have a character that's using a wheelchair, but to have her like on the dance floor with everybody else, I was
like
living.
dancing.
I was loving it. She was all in the choreography with everybody, like no big thing, and that was great. So Blind Barbie, I mean, yeah, A+, I guess. I mean, what more?
A+ on the Blind Barbie, because I wouldn't change thing.
No, me neither. What more could we want, really? Like, or just more of them. Like Blind Barbie's best friend, who's also blind.
More Barbies with disabilities.
And then it would be the two of us. Like, if they had, like, best friend blind Barbies.
Stop. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cute.
Well, you know, like Barbie and Skip. Well, Skipper's her sister, but whatever. Her best friend, Teresa. Or something. Whatever they are.
This is super random, and I don't know if this has... Oh, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
I was just going to say that I know that this has no bearing in representation in the show, but did you ever have, speaking of toys, like, did you ever have a toy that you, like, canonically made disabled when you were playing?
Not off the top of my head.
I did. I had, like, I played with... Barbies weren't my thing because their clothes were too small. But I just didn't play with them as much. But I had a lot of, like, Kelly dolls. So it was, like, one of Barbie's little sisters.
Uh-huh.
And I really liked the Kelly dolls. And I don't know why. I had this Kelly doll that I think was meant to bounce on something. Like, she had these, like, stretchy... It was like elastic bands that you could, like, put her on, but her limbs were not, like, straight like all the other Kellys. Like, they bounced around, like she had joints like knees and stuff. And I was like, this Barbie is crippled.
She has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Yes. Oh my gosh, she does. She's floppy, like EDS. I made her like someone who used a walker or a wheelchair or something.
That's hilarious. Like, that's sweet.
I created my own disabled Kelly.
I cannot think off the top of my head that I did that. However, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm not saying that I didn't either, because I was always playing Barbies.
The only reason I remembered that is because my mom is doing a garage sale, and I went to their house and I was like, oh my gosh, it's disabled Kelly.
No, I was like always playing Barbies. Always. And so I'm sure I had a disabled Barbie at some point, but I don't remember.
Probably.
I'm sure I did. I mean, they were always like falling off the roof and like dramatic things happening.
I mean, yeah, they were breaking their legs.
I'm sure they became
they
disabled.
Were acquiring disabilities.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they all became disabled from what I was putting them through, you know.
Amazing.
Love it.
Okay. Well, I mean, if y'all have any other suggestions of disability in media that we didn't mention, of course, feel free to send us an email, hello@rarewithflair.com.
Yeah, let us know. We would love to hear it. But yeah, that was really fun. And we'll have to do another installment of this, like, later if more things come out. But for now,
I know.
That's what we have.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye!